All right. Today I'm with Kaleem Clarkson, and this is one of my regular Tuesday chats. Welcome to the show, Kaleem.
What's up, Douglas? Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Always a
always
pleasure,
a
man.
pleasure. Always a pleasure to hang out with my pal down in the southeast,
Hot
where I
Atlanta.
was born and bred. I was not born and bred not far from there, and I miss the seasons, man.
Can't wait to get out to Austin, though. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
no
can't wait
doubt,
to get
no
out
doubt.
there.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of traveling, but it's definitely been stifled still. So we'll be there before you know it. So we just spent a little bit of time in the pre-show chat talking about, of course, the big H word that's been on everyone's lips these days. And it's
And that is
interesting.
hybrid.
Yes, yes, for sure. For those of you who kind of somehow missed this conversation, hybrid is out there and people are talking about it, and you have companies like Apple releasing statements about policies that employees may or may not be pleased about. And I guess, Kaleem, I want to talk to you a little bit about the assessments that you've been doing with clients um, around these kind of types of policies, and why it's so important to listen to our employees and hear what they have to say and their lived experience.
Yeah, so what we've been calling the remote employee experience, we kind of nicknamed it TREE. We've been doing this assessment with clients about, you know, the remote employee experience there's a whole bunch of different things along with it. You have onboarding, you have, hiring, et cetera, that kind of goes on. But really the importance of assessing the workplace flexibility preferences, workplace flexibility preparedness. Do you have the tools? What are the challenges while working remotely? And I mean, there's a lot of great surveys out there. Buffer, PwC. I mean, there's great surveys out there. So what we've kind of done is looked at some of those surveys, kind of mimic some of their questions and merge some of their questions, and really just trying to create a holistic 360 point of view, because everybody's preferences are different for different reasons. And before you can, Apple, I'm hoping that they did this prior to making a policy statement. And I think that's where most employees are really upset, because they're not feeling heard. So I think the assessment's really important. Obviously, if you can take the time to have an employee resource group kind of help you mold some of these policies and take some information in before you make that choice, that's the ultimate situation. I mean, we just employees just want to be heard before a decision's made.
Yeah, why do you think that companies are releasing these kinds of statements without giving an opportunity for employees to be seen, heard, and frankly respected?
I mean, Douglas, I think that's a great question, and I have no idea. I mean, I can make some assumptions. I'm making an assumption that there are other motivating factors that they want to bring employees back to the office. I think one thing that a lot of us don't talk enough about is the cost of real estate.
Right.
Many of these companies have already invested in millions and millions of dollars worth of square footage, and they're just not prepared to just let that investment go to waste. So I think that's one area.
Yeah, it's like the sunk cost fallacy, right? It's just like in their head, oh, we spent this money, we should be getting use out of it. And it's like, just because you lost it doesn't mean you need to like add extra pain and extra insult to that loss. Sometimes you can just chalk it up to be a loss.
Chalk it up, reuse it. Rethink
Yeah.
how you can use that space.
Yeah. How could you create a more innovative use of the space? Yeah.
Yeah, I also think the other piece, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before on some of the Clubhouse events. And shout out if you ever want to talk about remote work. Every single Wednesday, I host Remote Work Wednesdays on Clubhouse. Now you Android users can participate.
Yeah.
That's nice. But a lot of it is about training. A lot of it is about managers and middle management not being comfortable with managing without seeing. And I think, I don't want to say control and power, but yes, I guess I'll say it. I think that there's a lot of, I think during this time, during the pandemic, there's been a kind of a shift towards ownership of time. So prior to the pandemic, you didn't really have control of your time. You had to commute to the office. You had to go to the office. That was standardized. That was controlled by an outside entity. Now, employees have control over their own time. And man, is it liberating and free feeling. So I kind of feel like that loss of control is another reason that they're not asking their employees first.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I run a meetup for CTOs that I've run for years, and even though I'm not a CTO anymore, I can't seem to let that community go because it's near and dear to my heart. And
Important.
yeah, and so there was a job post recently on the forum, and someone was looking for a developer to join their team, and they were very adamant that this is a in the office experience. And I was really, it made me really curious. It said, you know, what can you explain your decision and your thinking around in the office? And you know, it was funny because their response was, "We're bucking the trend, and we believe that, you know, there's a lot more serendipity and a lot more discovery in a small group together." And you know, it's interesting because when I think of developers and how most developers I've worked with throughout my career like to work, they love to go into the cave. They want to put
into the cave. Yes.
They don't want to be disturbed, you know? So like, it's somehow, it almost feels like this, again, you know, this, to your point, like coming in the office to socialize, it's almost like some people have a hunger to have this togetherness, to have this sense of like, I'm seeing the action happen. And so there's these outputs, this busyness, this frenetic energy is what I'm feeding off of as an individual. And so as a leader, I'm going to make a decision based on my desire to see and witness and feel that. Seems to be a big driver for why some people gravitate toward it. I know I prefer it, but I'm wise enough to step back and realize that, like, it's probably not ideal to force that, right? It's going to be expensive. It's going to be less ideal. It's not what people want. And, you know, even though I have this dream of being in a busy environment where like everyone's doing all these things and it's exciting, and, you know, it's just like, you know, you gotta put some of your fantasies aside and just live with the world the way it is, you know?
I love that phrase, bucking the trend. Like, oh, you're doing something different going into the office, something we've been doing for the past 100 years. You're real different there. That's pretty comical. I also think, like, you know, the idea behind there's nothing wrong with that energy. I just feel like these leaders, I think you said something very, very important. Things I like, things I feel comfortable with. And that's what's happening. Leadership are making decisions based on their personal preferences, versus letting. The other thing is like, we believe that it's we have better ideas together, and that energy will make it better. Well, can you show me the data on that? And that's why we're always talking about assessing the remote employee experience. Yeah. Now, in a perfect world, people would have assessed this before the pandemic, you know, so you could kind of get some sort of A/B test. But the reality of the situation is that these are just words. Many people don't have, a lot of companies are going to come out saying, we need culture. It's better for our culture to be together. We need this energy. Creativity happens in person. I'm not actually denying any of those things, but if you're going to come with a policy, you better come with some sort of data behind it. Because I mean, 2021, people are not just saying, okay, well, yeah, I just believe what you say. Yeah, okay, that's great. Now, if you're going to make me battle Atlanta traffic for 2 hours, you better have something up here that says, hey, we're making a lot more revenue when we work together. Productivity's higher. You know, most of the company wants this, so it's not us just saying it. If you don't have any of those things in place before you're making one of these like statements, I mean, it's just empty. It's empty. The other thing is that energy that you're talking about, it's real. Like we're social beings. So design a situation once a week, twice, once a month, whatever that is, where that's all you're doing is enjoying each other's company. So to me, it's kind of like a combination of, well, you're not doing that all day, every day when you're in the office. So why not just maximize it and make that better? Like, when you come to the office, maybe you shouldn't be doing any work at all.
Yeah.
Like maybe that day in the office should all be about hanging out. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the important thing is the design with intention, right? What's the purpose? Why are we bringing people together? And let's honor that as discreetly as we can. And I think the BBC put out a report that said that most meetings or most ineffective meetings are actually a form of therapy. So, people just
like
filling up their calendars with these kind of meetings of connection. And if it's not clear to the people you've invited to the meeting that's why, if it's not clear to you, you're not making it clear to others. And if they show up and it's unclear, even though there might be a little connection established, they're probably going to walk out disgruntled because they're going to think, well, that was a pointless meeting, right? Yeah. But if we're intentional about it and we say, hey, we're bringing everyone together for some team health, then we can all walk out going, oh yeah, that did what it was supposed to do.
Right.
We probably, if we're not self-medicating and we're more intentional about it, then we're probably more efficient. We're not just like throwing stuff all over the place. It's more targeted strikes, if you will.
Yeah. I love the idea of don't fake the funk. I always love that phrase. Don't fake the funk. We all know that we love going in the office to talk about what's happening and to be around people. And the important thing too is a lot of people don't consider single individuals. For a lot of people, the office is their social connectedness that they need to survive.
Yeah.
That's their social connect. Like, again, we need social connections. We're a tribal species. So that's why tribes existed forever. So it's like they need that. So there are some people, if you ask your employees what they want, some of them will say, I want to go into the office 2 or 3 times a week. Now, these are huge generalizations. And of course, every single person doesn't want, I'm just the huge generalizations. But the reality of the situation is for some people, those social opportunities, the connectedness that we need to survive as beings are the office. So just design it to do that. Like, don't fake the funk. Design it to do what is necessary to get work done. Nah, we don't need that. I mean, are we going on a year and a half almost? The past year and a half has proven you don't need the office to get the actual pen to paper. I like to say your pen to paper does not need to be in an office for a lot of people, of course.
Yeah. I always come back to often when people are asking us to help them, with their remote or virtual work practices, to me, it always comes back to what are the underlying principles that they're either following or not following. And I think that at the end of the day, there's just a lot of dysfunction on the foundational levels that need to be addressed. And so to your point, people talk. I think it's proven that this stuff works. And if anyone's still struggling, then I would say they're struggling because there's some dysfunction in the system, not in the approach or in the tactics or tools, because
I love that.
People want to throw tactics and tools at it, but it's like, man, if we don't address what's happening at our team level, at our the way we communicate and the way we understand each other, then we're on a shaky foundation.
I mean, as the meaningful meanings, aficionado yourself, I learned a lot about facilitation in some of your group meetings and stuff like that. Something as simple as having an agenda. I remember being in one of your meaningful meetings talks, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that is just one little thing, one little piece that makes such a difference. Is just having an agenda. And there are so many, there's so many different ways to do, great facilitation. You're absolutely right. The amount of people who don't have a handbook, you don't have a handbook, a policy and procedures handbook. You don't have one, and it's not visible. It's not available. to me, you're absolutely right. Dysfunction in the foundation. I'm definitely stealing that, Douglas. Dysfunction in the foundation is so great. So thank you. Learn something every day.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, hey, we just hit our 15-minute mark.
Perfect.
And that marks the end of today's live stream. But Kaleem, always a pleasure. And definitely check out for all of you that are listening now or checking this out later, definitely check out his weekly Clubhouse room. It's really great. Highly recommend you spending some time there. And Kaleem, I hope we will chat again sometime soon.
Oh, we will. Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Cheers.